I shot a couple videos before this one, but I'm going to upload this one first. Hopefully it'll be kind of short. This is already reduced down to a preform. This is coral, heat-treated coral from Ocala, and the one that I'm uploading after this is also heat-treated Ocala Chert. Actually, it's 2 videos, I think, after this one. Anyway, there's no talking on the other video, but I am going to talk through this one because the neighbor stopped mowing. Okay? And I decided to film this because I'm going to try to film as much as I can. One of the disadvantages of filming with the phone is I figured out the microphone issues. I need to have the phone on airplane mode so that it doesn't make the microphone buzz, or doesn't mess up the audio. But if I have it on airplane mode, I cannot be uploading a video while I'm shooting a video, because while I'm shooting the video it has to be on airplane mode, and consequently I can't do them both at the same time. I can't be napping and uploading a video at the same time like I try to do. If I'm going to shoot a lot of videos, I try to do both at the same time. But I'm going to try shooting a lot of videos, as much as my phone can hold as far as memory goes, and just try to upload them all later. See how it works. I've done that before, and it takes up to 2 days to upload a few videos, depending on when I decide to upload. And what's funny is, I don't know if you guys want to hear all this little technical stuff, but what's funny is I try to upload during the middle of a day, and I won't do any other high intensive stuff on the phone that day, just uploading videos. And then it gets to the point where it's like processing the video or just barely finished uploading, and it'll go back to 0 and it'll start uploading again because something is wrong with the upload, I suppose. So that's been happening when I try to upload lots of videos in one day. For some reason it wants to start over on some of them. But if I just do one video, I don't really have a problem. Or one every other day, other than the slow speeds. And the library here does have Wi-Fi. But even if the Wi-Fi was perfect and extremely fast, I'd have to be sitting in the library for an hour or 2 to upload the videos. Now that would be okay if they had computers in there, which they do not. So I can't do computer work in there. And number 2, the books in there are not that interesting. And there's only a few seats. It's not like if they had a bunch of tables. It's a very small library. Anyway, I mean, they do have some interesting books, I can't say that. And it is a nice place. But it's just not, it's not a workshop. I can't do a lot of my stuff in there. If I want to do internet research, I can use my phone for that. And be doing other things too. I can be doing internet research back and forth with practicing on napping techniques, so I don't get napper's cramp from the napping techniques. I just take a break every once in a while and look up something on the internet, and then when I find it, I'll go back to napping. yada yada. But I can't do that when I'm in the library. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. Because I don't know what to talk about during the pressure flaking. Yeah, I started with a preform on this one because
my female showed up.
I started with the preform because you guys have seen me do preforms a lot, and I did it really fast. It does help that I don't talk during the videos. It helps me to do the napping a little bit faster, a little bit easier. It does help that I don't have the camera in front of me, but it doesn't help all that much unless I'm doing a lot of it. Like if I get used to doing it without talking, then I can really get in the zone. But if I've been talking a lot in previous videos and then I switch to no talking, I'm still thinking about stuff that I would be talking about. Thinking that I might do a voiceover too. So keeping that in the back of my head that I could do a voiceover. Anyway.
Can you come down to the patio and open the wooden gate? It won't open from the outside.
Right. It's like stuck in the wall. Concrete.
Yeah, it won't open from the outside. All right, thanks, honey. Bye. You might want to yell to Hunter that you opened it. Thanks, babe.
So yeah, the neighbor did their thing. They're trying to get in the back yard next door. Okay, so let's see, 8 minutes. I should have enough time to pressure flake this. Might take some more percussion flakes. It started out pretty flat. Okay, let's see. So, what am I going to talk about? Let's see. I'm going to adjust the camera for a second there. All right. Yeah, I got to focus on these flake removals. Hold on. One of the things I forget to do is thin out the base area really well for the notching for this particular point. It's much easier to make these when I've got a very thin base. It helps overall. Thinness helps overall with these small ones, but especially on the base if you have notches like these corner notches are going to be yeah, hold on. I don't want to lose my focus here. Sometimes I try to do these in sequence, but most of the time I do these thinning flakes randomly. They do work in sequence if you can get consistent results. Then you can plan on doing these in sequence, but a lot of times I'll mess up on one of the flake removals in the sequence, and it'll mess the whole thing up, because I'll be trying to damage control that one area and it'll create an indentation, a spot where I'm hammering a lot, and then it won't be straight if I try to do it in sequence. Now if I do it randomly, I have a easier time keeping it straight if I do it randomly, just here and there. I don't know why exactly. But yeah, it seems to be the case. Okay, so I'm going to try to thin out the space area as much as I can before I notch it. I can't be spending too much time on it though, because I run out of time fast when I'm doing this. When I'm doing damage control, I run out of time fast. And I should be wearing a glove. I felt that one. But, oh well. I do much better with these small ones without a glove. Unless I'm using glass. Then I'll try to use a glove as much as I can to prevent cuts and stuff. Until the very end. With delicate material, you really want to get the feel of it. You don't want to have anything interfering with anything. The gloves really interfere a lot, I think, with these small ones. And some of these real ones, the real artifacts, are so small there's just no way you can wear a glove and nap them, because it's just no way to hold on to them. Hold on to them effectively. Okay. Yeah, a lot of my older videos, I don't have gloves on because I'm napping small points, for one thing. And another reason is I just go through the gloves really, really fast. So at that time, I didn't want to be spending a lot of money on gloves, so I would try to minimize the use. I'm getting step fractures. Even if I tried to do the thin base thing, it doesn't always work. I can notch it without the thin base, but it just makes it more difficult, and sometimes I blow away some of the barb or some of the ear. But, you know, oh well. You blow away the barb in the ear because you're putting a lot of pressure on it to get those notches in. When it's thick, yeah, I have done indirect percussion notches on these small points. Yes, I have done it in the past. I just don't have a current indirect percussion notcher right now. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to make another one, because I'll be doing a lot more of these small ones. And it can be a big time saver and a big cramp saver to do the notching with the indirect percussion tool. Now, how does copper compare to other materials for this kind of thing? Well, I think we all know that copper is the standard. It is the standard. Everything is judged by. Copper is the most versatile. It's not the cheapest material you can use, but it's the most versatile. It does require a lot of resharpening, especially if you want to do nice parallel flaking. And the copper wears down faster than steel. I prefer to use the steel when I'm doing any kind of thing over and over and over, like any kind of percussion over and over, or pressure over and over. I prefer to use steel, that way I don't have to interrupt myself in the middle of it. Because when you're doing something over and over and over again, you're kind of doing it like that on purpose so that you get used to it, and it's much easier to be consistent if you're not interrupted. Of course, I could have like 3 or 4 pressure flakers sitting there waiting. So when this one wears down, let's say, I could just get another one exactly like it, but sharper, and continue. I could do that, and I probably will. Get the prep set up better than I'm doing now. Right now, I minimize the preparation. Now, there's a little place on the edge here where I think I'm going to mess up. Yeah, I'm going to mess up my plans for having a larger arrowhead here than before. Hold on while I try to prepare for the change in symmetry, because I want to get rid of that steppy area right there. I don't know, I can't seem to get it to focus right. I need to get rid of that little steppy area.
I've got a picture of the whole. Hello.
Hello.
The whole length of the pipe and where that.
Wish we doing an arrowhead.
Yeah.
Where that dimension bed is.
Okay. Almost there. Almost ready to push off a flake there so I can get rid of that. I'm going to push off a flake like right here in that direction. Right there, and push it here following that ridge, and it'll fan out and hopefully take that out. Okay, I think that's good enough. I sent the flake in. It didn't really fan out a lot, but good enough. So I don't know if you can see every time I do this, but I'm trying to eliminate lumps. There's a lump right here. Let's see. So lump there. I'm gonna send the flake in. So yeah, I'm just gonna take off these lumps if I can. Here and there. I don't want to get this too thin because it's very brittle. The heat-treated coral is very easy to knap, but it's also very brittle. It's a lot like novaculite, heated novaculite. You can get it really thin, both novaculite and the heat-treated coral, but it's not really all that great as far as the risk. You really don't want to risk it because it's beautiful stuff. You want to have a piece made of it. You don't want to have a bunch of broken, beautiful pieces. You want a completed piece. Okay. So you make it thicker. Making it thicker solves a lot of problems. Making it thicker on purpose solves a lot of problems. Why did they make them so thin back in the day? I think they made them thin for the reason that so they would break easy. They didn't want them to be shot back. A lot of these were made as weapons of war. The Scallorn point is one of those points that is a lot of times the cause of death in burials. You can tell that the Scallorn point was the cause of death. And this holds true for different points. All right, there's a lot of Scallorns out there. That's why presumably that's why there's a lot of burials with Scallorn as a cause of death, just because they're very common. All right, so let's see. Where is it? I have the other arrowhead somewhere. Yes, maybe. Yeah, it's somewhere. I made this on video, yeah. So, let's see. I wanted the white one to be a little bit bigger, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. But I think I'm going to make the white one with a wider base. Just so it'll change it up a little bit. Okay. Steel notcher. And this, yeah, it's thin enough so I can go fairly quickly. We'll see. If I go too fast, you know what happens. And I'm not going to make the notch narrow. Nope. narrow notches are for really good material, good and thin. This is very brittle and not very thin, so it's, you know, good in quotation marks means flexible and strong. Bottle glass is one of those, and some raw cherts. High quality obsidian falls in that category for narrow notches. I'm talking about narrow notches. The material helps quite a bit, but the thinness of the material is also crucial. If you want really narrow notches, especially with natural tools, using natural tools to produce narrow notches can be a nightmare unless your preform is very, very thin. Then it makes it much more pleasurable to do the notching, because that way you can use the material that's much weaker than copper or steel. The natural materials are much weaker than the metals, but you can use them as long as your preform is very, very thin. You can come up with very narrow notches with a piece of antler that looks like this, or bone, or gar scales. I need to get the gar scales out and make some tools, notching tools with the alligator gar scales. And yeah, you can use it. I think I was making fun of that. I don't know, or someone thought I was making fun of that, but no, I'm serious. You can use alligator gar scales for notching. I don't have large alligator gar scales. I got small ones, so I can do a small arrowhead with small notches. If anyone has large alligator gar scales, like if they caught a large alligator gar and they just saved the scales, or it's in the freezer, the skin is in the freezer, send me an email. I'd be interested in the large gar scales. Can't seem to find them online unless you want to spend a fortune on them, because they are used for pendants and jewelry. Anyway, almost done, and it's a good thing because the time is almost up. Am I going to sharpen the edge? It's pretty sharp already. Yeah, it's pretty sharp already, so I'm not going to do much as far as that goes. I'm just going to narrow the neck on this Scallorn. Yes, most of them have very narrow necks. Again, it makes it easy to break so that the arrow doesn't get shot back at you. For war arrows, that's a very big concern in all cultures, European or Native American or Asian. They were all concerned about the arrows being fired back at them, so they would have precautions. Even the Romans, they didn't want their pilum or pilum to be shot back at them, so they would make the foreshafts out of iron that would bend. So in battle, you would have to take time to unbend the iron, and it could mean the difference between life and death, taking that extra time. So they were not easily shot back at the Romans when they fired their volley of pilum. They had the foreshafts and the point built in. It was the same piece of metal, and when it struck the target, it would stick in, and then it would bend. So you would have to unbend it to shoot it back properly. Anyway, The point is, it was a common tactic to make these things breakable, or rendered ineffective somehow after firing. If you figured out a way to make them ineffective, it was a smart thing to do. Okay. I cannot. There we go. Could not seem to pop out that last little flake. And you got to watch it with those. So if you end up putting too much pressure on it, you're in big trouble. Okay, I think that's it. I'm not going to risk it. There it is. I could straighten it out a little bit at the tip, or make it more narrow. Make this more of a needle tip. It would thin it out, but I'm just going to leave it. Yeah. These two are side projects. They're not going to be in the auction. But I'm trying to film everything, so. Okay. That's it.